The village buzzed with excitement as the most beautiful wives swayed their hips, their curves captivating every gaze, their skin glistened under the sun, their smiles as radiant as the finest jewels, and their graceful movements left men in awe. The air was thick with desire and anticipation, for this was no ordinary celebration. This was the infamous Festival of Wife Snatching, a strange tradition where chaos ruled and marriages were made and broken in the blink of an eye. Sit back, subscribe, and enjoy the hilarious tale of Nduka, a man trapped in the madness of wife-stealing festival. In the ancient village of Umuka, there was a young man named Nduka, who, if laziness were a job, would have been the richest man in all of Igbo land. Nduka was tall and handsome. He would have been perfect, but for his habit of eating and drinking. The only thing faster than his legs was his mouth, always talking about the next business he would do that will make him the richest man that ever existed. Yet in reality, he was financially broke. His mother, Mama Nduka, always scolded her son. "Nduka, my son," she would say loudly, "your hands are softer than a baby's bottom. Even the hands in this village worked harder than you." Nduka would just smile with a palm wine in his hand. "Mama, you worry too much," he would say. "One day you will see me in a big house, eating goat meat every day. Even the Igwe would come and bow before me." Mama Nduka would burst into laughter and say to her son, "Goat meat, ke? Nduka, if laziness could buy houses, you will be a king. But until then, you better start running after goats, because that's the only way you will taste meat." The villagers of Umuka all knew Nduka's story, how he had once dated Uloma, the most beautiful girl in the village. Uloma had bright eyes, a smile that could charm the sun itself, and a waist that moved like the wind during the village dances. She had been attracted to Nduka because of his looks, but it didn't take long for her to realize that Nduka was allergic to work. Instead of farming, he would stand by farm roads, flirting with women who were carrying heavy baskets of yam on their heads. Nduka, Uloma once said in frustration, "If you don't start working, we will starve when we marry." "Ah, Uloma," Nduka replied, "don't worry, my love. I have big plans. We will be rich, you will see." But Uloma wasn't stupid. She knew that Nduka's big plans mostly involved avoiding work and daydreaming. So when Chief Udo, a wealthy and hardworking man with a belly that showed he knew the meaning of good food, proposed to her, she didn't hesitate. She married him, leaving Nduka to sulk in the village, telling anyone who would listen how he had been betrayed by the love of his life. But then came the unique wife-stealing festival. This was a peculiar festival, unique to Umuka village, held every 5 years. During the festival, frustrated married women danced around Umuka village square, and if a man could impress them with gifts or a good dance, he could steal them from their husbands, but only if the women were willing. Most of the women who participated in this weird festival are already frustrated with their husbands and wants to remarry. Happily married women stay away from this festival. Nduka, of course, saw this as his chance to reclaim Uloma. "I will win her back," he boasted to anyone who would listen. But the villagers laughed. Uloma joined the festival. They laughed. "She is married to Chief Udo. She has no reason to run around with lazy boys like you." Undeterred, Nduka believed he could pull off what he called the greatest wife stealing in history. He practiced his dancing in secret, twirling and jumping like a drunken goat, and even managed to buy a gift for Uloma, a shiny piece of sculpture of a horse. He bought it at a high price. As the festival approached, Nduka became more excited. "Uloma will see me and remember the good old days," he told his friend Okeke, who was trying hard not to laugh while chewing on a stick of sugarcane. "Nduka, my friend," Okeke said, spitting out some sugarcane fibers. "The only thing Uloma will remember is how you avoided work like it was sickness." "Ah, you will see, I will charm her with my dance," Nduka declared. Doing a dance spin, he rolled too fast. Losing his balance, he fell with his buttocks hitting the dust. Okeke busted in tearful laughter. The day of the festival finally arrived. The drums echoed through the village, and women began to gather, their colorful wrappers tied tightly around their waist as they prepared to dance. The men lined up, ready to prove their worth, each holding gifts ranging from goats to beads. And there was Nduka, standing proudly, beaming like a man with the whole world in his pocket. The festival began with the women dancing in a circle, their movements graceful. Nduka's eyes searched for Uloma, hoping she would somehow appear, despite everyone saying she wouldn't. But even to his surprise, Uloma appeared on the edge of the dancing circle. She looked so beautiful. Nduka's heart leaped into his throat. Could this really be her? Has she really come to the festival? He said to himself. Without a second, he shouted, "Uloma, my sweetheart, I am here to claim you back." And Nduka began dancing with all the grace of a lopsided chicken. The villagers watched in stunned silence as Nduka, sweating profusely, danced towards Uloma. He didn't notice the mockery smile on her face as she glanced back and began running. Nduka chased after her. Lazy Nduka soon was out of breath, but he kept chasing her, determined to win back his lost love. "Uloma, wait, I am coming for you." She quickly entered a nearby hut. Nduka followed, panting heavily but triumphant. "I've got you now," he declared, lunging forward and grabbing hold of a hand in the darkness inside the hut. "You are mine, Uloma." When Nduka emerged from the hut, his hand clenched tightly around someone, but it wasn't Uloma. Oh no, he had captured the wrong woman. Stepping out, the bright sunlight revealed the truth. He was holding the hand of Oriako, a gigantic fat young lady in the village of Omoka. Oriako was popular in the village for her arrogance and sharp mouth. The entire village roared with laughter. They kept laughing and pointing at Nduka as he stood shocked, holding Oriako's hand. "Congratulations, Nduka," someone yelled from the crowd. "You have just stolen a wife, but it's not the one you wanted." Uloma had made plans with Oriako to set Nduka up. The wife-stealing festival has a golden rule, and that is, if you chase after a married woman and catch her, you must marry her, no going back. And so, that was how Nduka's journey into marriage began with Oriako, the woman he never expected to catch. The day after the wife-snatching festival, the entire village was buzzing with excitement. Nduka, the lazy daydreamer, had finally gotten married to Oriako, the woman who could eat the whole yam band in one sitting if you weren't careful. Oriako's name literally means eater of wealth, and she wasted no time living up to it. "Ah, Nduka," Oriako said, "you better start farming like a man, because you now have a wife who needs to eat well. I hope you are man enough to take care of me. I am Oriako, and I am here to eat your wealth." She slapped her thigh, the sound echoing through their small hut. Nduka rolled his eyes and replied, "Which wealth are you going to eat, you lousy shapeless woman?" Oriako hissed and said, "Efulefu, useless man. If you don't start bringing food to this house, I swear I'll pack you and ship you to my mother's village. At least there, you can be useful as a scarecrow in her farm." Nduka was shocked by her sharp tongue, and he decided to pretend she doesn't exist. But pretending Oriako didn't exist was impossible. If you ignored Oriako, she made sure you felt her presence. She had a voice louder than a drum, and she used it daily to remind Nduka of his duties. One morning, after Oriakụ devoured the entire breakfast meant for more than 2 people, she stood up and clapped her hands and announced, "Nduka, you married me, and that means you must take care of me. That's the rule. Now get ready and quickly go to the farm." Nduka, looking puzzled, said, "Me? Farm? Oriakụ, did you just open that your fat mouth to tell me to go to the farm? Ha! So that your big body will eat everything before we even harvest. Please, Oriakụ, or whatever you call yourself, leave me alone." Oriakụ didn't even blink. She walked over, grabbed Nduka by the chin, and shouted, "What did you just say? You will farm or I'll beat you like a misbehaving child." And that was how the fights started. Every day, Nduka and Oriakụ would argue like thunder and lightning, their voices echoing through the village like an unwanted symphony. "Nduka, you are lazy as a snake that refuses to crawl," Oriakụ would shout. "And you," Nduka would reply, "are as fat as a palm tree that ate all the coconuts." The villagers could hear their exchange from their huts and would gather outside to listen. "I swear these two were made for each other," said Mama Njideka, the village gossip. Only Oriakụ could handle someone as useless as Nduka. One evening, the fight escalated. Nduka, feeling brave after drinking some palm wine, decided he had had enough. "Oriakụ," he shouted, "you are as wide as the Omuka River. I am done with you. You eat like an elephant, and yet you expect me to farm. I am a man, not your servant." Oriakụ's eyes narrowed. "A man? You, Nduka? The only thing manly about you is the way you scratch your belly like an old drum with a hole in it. Even the tortoise in this village has more action than you." And with that, she charged at him like a wild bull. The entire village gathered outside their huts, watched as Oriakụ grabbed Nduka by the arms and swung him around like a ragged doll. Nduka screamed, but it was no use. Oriakụ was strong, and she wasn't afraid to show it. She pinned him to the ground and sat on his face. "Help! Help!" Nduka wailed, his voice shaking like a goat caught in a rainstorm. But nobody came to his rescue. In fact, they were all laughing too hard to move. After the beating session, Nduka leaned over to his friend Okeke, bruised and battered, his clothes torn. Okeke, always chewing on his sugarcane, looked up at Nduka and shook his head. "Nduka, my friend," Okeke said with a grin, "so your wife Oriakụ has turned you into a punching bag. I hear she is molding you the way a blacksmith molds iron pots. Next time I see you, should I call you Nduka the pot?" Okeke laughed at his own joke. Nduka groaned, sitting down beside his friend. "Okeke," Nduka said, "I can't take it anymore. This woman is going to kill me." Okeke, being the wise friend that he was, offered some advice. "Nduka, listen, you need to show her you are the man of the house. Tomorrow morning, you wake up early before she does. You lock her in the house, then go to the farm and show the village you're a real man." Nduka, always trusting in Okeke's ridiculous advice, nodded. "Yes, I will lock her in the hut. That will teach her to respect me." The next morning, Nduka woke up early. He tiptoed out of the bed, grabbed the big wooden lock, and quietly closed the door to their hut, locking Oriakụ inside. Smiling to himself, he walked to the farm like a king, ready to finally show the village he could be a hard worker. But Nduka's victory was short-lived. As he reached the farm, he heard a loud bang on his head. Turning around in pain, he saw Oriakụ holding a big broomstick. "Nduka," she screamed, her voice echoing across the farm. "You think you can lock me up like a chicken? You will regret it this day." Nduka's legs turned to jelly. He tried to run, but it was no use. Oriakụ caught up with him and in front of the entire village, lifted him up like a sack of yam and carried him. The villagers were going mad with laughter. They had never seen such a sight, a wife carrying her husband like a baby. The villagers laughed loud and said, "Ah, this is the best couple I have ever seen." Nduka was humiliated, but what could he do? He was stuck with Oriakụ, and every day was a new disaster. As the days passed, Nduka's life became a comedy. Oriako wasn't just beating him physically, she was beating him mentally too. She ate all the food, controlled the house, and Nduka was a prisoner in his own marriage. But as hopeless as things seemed, Nduka had a plan brewing. He wouldn't give up yet. He had one last trick up his sleeves to outsmart Oriako and reclaim his pride. Or so he thought. Nduka had heard stories about how palm wine could bring out the worst in women, and most women cannot handle large amounts of palm wine. So an idea came into Nduka's mind. He challenged Oriako to a drinking contest. The winner, he declared, will become the true ruler of this house. The loser must surrender all household chores, washing, cooking, sweeping, cleaning, and everything. Oriako, who was sitting with her arms crossed, eyeing him like a lioness, ready to pounce, raised an eyebrow. "You want to challenge me to drink palm wine?" She burst out laughing, her deep voice shaking the rafters of the hut. "Very well, Nduka, but when I win, you will become my personal housemaid." Nduka smiled. This was easy, he thought. If there was one thing he could do better than anything else, it was drinking palm wine. He had once emptied 3 kegs of palm wine in one sitting at Okeke's wedding, leaving everyone astonished. This time, he was certain Oriako would vomit after a few gulps. The next day, the villagers gathered at Nduka's house, all eager to witness the great battle between Nduka and Oriako. Palm wine kegs were lined up like soldiers ready for war. Nduka had invited his friends to watch as he planned to embarrass his wife in front of the entire village. The contest began. Nduka grabbed the first keg and gulped it down like a man who had been lost in the desert for days. He slammed it down and wiped his mouth, grinning at Oriako, who calmly picked up her own keg, drank it like she was sipping tea, and finished without batting an eye. The crowd gasped. By the time Nduka finished his third keg, his world started to spin. The sky looked like it was dancing, and he could barely see straight. Meanwhile, Oriako had already downed her 5th keg, still standing tall like an iroko tree. She didn't even wobble. "Is that all you've got?" she teased, tilting her head to the side and smiling sweetly at her husband, who was now stumbling like a newborn goat, learning to walk. "Nduka, you are done for," someone from the crowd shouted, and laughter erupted. "Nduka, how does it feel to be defeated by a woman?" another voice mocked. "Ride him like a horse, Oriako," someone yelled from the back, and that was exactly what Oriako did. With Nduka too drunk to resist, Oriako hopped on his back, riding him through the village as if she had just won a horse race. The days that followed were pure torture. Nduka was now the official housemaid, washing Oriako's clothes, sweeping the compound, cooking meals, and even fetching water from the stream. And fetching water from the stream is a chore traditionally done by women and children. But here was a full-grown man carrying water on his head. One afternoon, while Nduka was walking back from the stream with a water keg balanced on his head, some young girls pointed at him and started singing, "Nduka the maid, Nduka the maid," doing what only women do because his wife has beaten him too. Humiliated and desperate, Nduka finally went to see Okeke. "Okeke, you must help me. I can't live like this anymore. I have become the laughingstock of the entire village." Okeke, chewing lazily on sugarcane as usual, grinned. "My friend, I have the perfect solution this time. I cannot sit back and watch Oriako kill you." Nduka gave him a doubtful look. "Trust me this time," Okeke continued, leaning closer. Okeke now said to his friend, Nduka, "The wife snatching festival is for wives, correct? Is Oriako anyone's wife? She wasn't married before you snatched her. So technically, the rule of compulsory marriage shouldn't apply. Go to the elders and show them this loophole." Nduka's eyes lit up like a firefly at night. He didn't even wait to say goodbye to Okeke. He ran straight to the Igwe's palace like a madman. Luckily, the Igbo and the elders were holding a council meeting. They laughed when Nduka barged in, and one of the elders said to Nduka, "I hope you took permission from your wife before coming here." The elders and the Igwe burst out laughing. Nduka ignored the insult and said, "Ndibayi ekenemono, please, I have something very important to discuss." And he went ahead and told them of the loophole in the golden rule of the wife stealing festival. After a long discussion, the elders finally agreed. Indeed, Oriako was not anyone's wife before you snatch her. The golden rule doesn't apply here, so you are free. That was how Oriako was forced to leave Nduka, and for the first time in months, Nduka felt like he could breathe again. He danced around, celebrating his newfound freedom. But something strange happened in the days that followed. Nduka began to miss Oriaku's loud voice and even her relentless nagging. Because of her, he had cultivated the habit of working, doing chores and going to the farm. But now, he was slowly going back to being lazy, and he did not like it. He was shocked to find out that Oriako had actually been an inspiration. As for Oriako, she missed Nduka's clumsy attempt at being a husband. Oriako was not really a bad person. She just used her sharp tongue and attitude to defend herself right from childhood, especially when she noticed that people wanted to bully her because of her size. She was deliberately being harsh towards Nduka during their marriage so that she could change him to be a better man. But now here she was, lonely again. She missed her handsome Nduka. One day, they bumped into each other. There was a brief silence, both unsure of what to say, until Nduka spoke first. "Oriako," Nduka greeted, "It's been long. How have you been?" "Nduka," Oriako replied, "I have been fine. And you?" "Well," Nduka answered, "I thought I would be fine, but every day feels empty without you. I didn't realize how much I missed hearing your nagging voice and seeing your mocking smile." Oriako became emotional and said, "You think I don't feel the same? I wake up every morning thinking of you. I have missed you too." Nduka stepped closer, his heart racing. "Oriako," he said, "we were foolish. I let pride come between us. I thought the world outside our marriage would be better, but nothing compares to what we shared. I have learned that now." Oriako, tears in her eyes, said, "We both made mistakes, Nduka. My heart belongs to you." Nduka, taking her hand, gently looked into her eyes and said, "Oriako, afụrụ gị n'anya. I love you." Oriako, smiling through her tears, replied, "And I love you too, Nduka. I will never stop loving you, and I promise to respect you as my husband." Nduka pulled her close in a gentle embrace. They embraced each other passionately, and Nduka said, "Let's start over, Oriako, this time with open hearts and mutual respect for each other." They stood there for a moment, holding each other. And so, to the surprise of everyone, Nduka and Oriako announced they were getting remarried. At the second wedding, the villagers gathered and they were truly happy for their union. The Igbo traditional celebration was colorful and beautiful. Oriako and Nduka, against all odds, became the happiest couple in the entire village of Umuka. And so, Nduka and Oriako learned the truth about love and respect. In marriage, when hearts uplift and stay kind, even broken bonds can heal and realign.